Photographers are expensive. Okay, so hear me out. Pricing for photography. I think for any photographer that's a little bit daunting, right? It's a little bit like, oh, how much should I charge to point this machine, click it, take the picture, edit it, give it to the client. Here you go. Because it's really subjective and it's based on your market. And that's really how a photographer should look at it, is based on the market that you live in, not based on what you've seen on some YouTube video somewhere. Like here, obviously I want you guys to watch this, but I can give you a general idea of what it is and how it is that you can price yourselves. And for those of you that are watching that are clients, potential clients, you can see how much things could possibly be and why we might charge the way that we charge. And I think that's one of the bigger things, right? Photographers are expensive. So I kind of want to tackle both of these things at the same time if I can. I do have a secret weapon when it comes to my approach to pricing. My approach to pricing is a little bit different from everybody else's, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But first I want to kind of touch on general pricing and how it's done for the clients out there that may want to know, and for some of you new photographers that are actually setting up pricing for yourselves. I do have a free guide on my website that will teach you how to set up a business, the back end of setting up a business for anybody, not just photography. So feel free to check that out. The link is in the description and you can download that guide for free. Jumping into photography, let's talk a little bit about how pricing comes into play, because it's probably one of the biggest things that you have to tackle being a photographer, because that is your business, right? You have to present to your client not just a price, but an experience. And I think that's probably the key there. That's the key to all of it, is giving your client an experience versus giving your client photos. My approach to photography is a little bit unorthodox when it comes to shooting photography and the way that I work with my clients. For me, a snap occasion, my motto is focus on the memory. And that's really what I do. I'm focusing on taking a picture because that's what I feel pictures are to me. Pictures are a moment in time that you're capturing, a memory, and you want that client to understand that that's exactly what they're going to get with you. And the way that I do that is I try to make it hassle-free for them. And a lot of photographers do the same thing without even saying that they make it hassle-free. But just saying it alone is actually part of the experience that I'm talking about. So we can get back to what I was talking about as far as pricing is concerned and how you're going to price things out, right? Study your market. Always study your market, because your pricing is going to be completely different from my pricing, from where I'm at. I'm actually happen to be in a low income market, so my pricing is going to be fairly low, and you can go look it up. It's going to be fairly low compared to most of the other photographers out there. And the reason for that is because I know what my market is, and I'm actually even mid-tier, considered mid-tier in my pricing. Pricing for me, it doesn't, and it's not necessarily super expensive. It doesn't have to be super expensive. However, to a normal person, somebody that is going to come to me for their services, it can be quite jarring, and it can be quite jarring for anybody out there, because of course there's a lot of photographers out there that are giving their services out for $50, $100. I do tier with everything that I do, but again, I'm not hiding anything anywhere. You get my photos, and for me on my website, you'll see that I say 50 minimum, 100 minimum, meaning that for that experience that I'm giving you, I'm giving you that many photos at the bare minimum. It could be more than that, and oftentimes it is more than that. I do that pricing that way because that's what I've chosen to do. So those are the kinds of things that you can use as like market separation, right? You've got to create that though. Those are the things that I've created. I do have one more little secret, but stick around because there's a lot of stuff that I have to cover as far as pricing is concerned. And I believe that when I tell you this little secret, it's something that's like so obvious that you'd be like, totally, I can do that. I'm already doing that. Let's move on to the next part, right? The client part. Like, okay, clients, for you clients out there that are searching for photographers. I know that these prices that you're seeing out there, $500, $600, $2,000. I mean, some weddings can be up to like $15,000 for a photographer. And you're thinking to yourself, like, who has the money to spend on this kind of stuff? Well, look at it from a photographer's perspective for a little bit. Think about it this way. You're getting married and you want every bit of that captured. You want those moments captured. A great photographer, a good photographer is going to come to you and they're going to tell you, look, this is an investment. And you see that a lot in a lot of the websites that you're searching for, right? This is an investment in what? What are they doing for you? They're taking pictures so that you can look back on them and remember them. That is why Snap Occasion, focus on the memory. The key is to make sure that we capture these moments in time and deliver them to you how you remember them. And once you see a photographer's style, that kind of gets embedded in your brain, right? And you're like, oh, I really like that photographer's style. And then you go after that photographer and you get that photographer. And in your head, you've already applied that style to the day of your wedding, right? And I use wedding as an example because that's one of the biggest spends that you're gonna have in your life as far as photography is concerned. So you're looking at that through the lens of the photographer that you've hired. So when the photographer delivers those photos to you, you're not disappointed. You're not disappointed because you've already looked through their portfolio and you've already seen what they can do. And that right there, that's the experience that a photographer is giving to you, is selling to you. That's what you're paying for. But there are a lot of things that you don't know that you're paying for. What you don't see, what you're also paying for, and is part of the price, is what they're doing after the wedding. Because it is a really hard thing to do. You have to consider we're on our feet pretty much the whole time. And I know this because I've done a few weddings, and it's a hard thing to do, to be a wedding photographer. But then your beautiful, wonderful, fantastic night ends. But what the photographer does is they go home and they offload 4,000 photos. That I'm exaggerating, but there can be quite a lot of photos. And then they have to do what's called a cull. And that means that they have to pick the best photos out of those thousands of photos to deliver your 100 photos that they promised you. So as they're doing that, you're maybe sleeping in bed, hopping on a plane, going to Tahiti. Next day, photographer gets up. They're back on the computer again. After they've culled all of those images, after they've gone through thousands of photos to pick what they feel is the best moments, the best memories from your beautiful wedding, then they apply their edits. And you do this by photo after photo after photo. That right there is not even done with the photographer's day, because then the photographer tells you, okay, now what I need for you to do for me is I need you to go ahead and pick some photos. Pick some of the photos that you're going to be printing. Pick some of the photos that you would like in your photo book, or whatever it is that they promise to deliver in their package. So you do that dance all while you are getting back from your honeymoon. The photographer is still working. So yeah, it's pricey. We really do focus on you, and that's where I do things a little bit different. And here is my secret weapon to what it is that I do and why my photography stands out. So I come from a world of fashion photography. Our fashion shoots were not hours, they were days and days. The hours didn't matter. Hours didn't matter. And that is my secret weapon. For me, for my photography, the way that I run my studio, the hours don't matter. It doesn't mean that it's the right approach. It doesn't mean that it's better than anybody else's out there. And the reason why I don't charge by the hour is because I feel that when it comes to clients, or it comes to my clients, if I give them an hour to do something, that doesn't make a good photo. It never makes a good photo. And I learned that in the fashion world, because when we were rush, none of that stuff was good. And a lot of the reason was because we were stressed out. And that, I cannot do that to my clients. I just refuse to do it. So yes, can I double book a day for a portrait session or a family portrait? Absolutely, 100%. I'm not telling photographers not to do that. I'm not going to do that. I can't do that, not to my clients. That is what my photography is all about, and that's what Snap Occasion is all about. It's about focusing on the memory, and how can I do that if I'm rushing you to the finish line?